Fright Night Vault. Audio horror for nighttime listening.
Welcome, Fright Night Vault listeners. Tonight, the walls of a house breathe again, and what sleeps in the dust has been disturbed. It began simply enough. A family moved into a Victorian home on the outskirts of town, a place that had been empty for decades. The paint was blistered, the rafters sagged, but beneath the rot they saw charm, history, a chance to build something of their own. They worked tirelessly to peel wallpaper, lift old boards, and scrub soot from the fireplaces. The house seemed willing to cooperate, revealing its hidden beauty as though eager for new life. For weeks, everything seemed fine. No shadows too long, no noises too strange. The kind of silence that makes one believe the worst of the stories were only that, stories. Until the book appeared. It was found tucked deep in a hollow space inside a cabinet drawer, wedged tight with brittle papers and bound in a cover as dry and cracked as old skin. No title, no author, only a thin clasp, rusted but still intact. It smelled of dust and something sour, faintly metallic, as though the pages themselves had once been wet with blood. When the clasp was forced open, papers spilled out. Yellowed notes, illegible scribbles, diagrams drawn with frantic ink. And buried between them was the key. Small, heavy, ancient. Its handle was twisted into a spiral of iron thorns, its teeth sharp and crooked. Unlike any modern lock, it left a faint black residue on their fingers, as though it was still corroding, still rotting, even after decades hidden. Intrigued, they searched the book for clues, and that was their first mistake. The pages spoke of doors, doors that did not belong to the house, doors that opened to places not found on blueprints. Notes written by someone unnamed, warning in broken phrases. Do not use the key. Do not wake what was bound. It must remain hidden. The warnings should have been enough, but curiosity, as it always does, won. For what they did not know was that the key had been hidden long, long ago, buried in paper and silence to keep something locked away, something that was never meant to be found again. The book consumed their nights. They gathered around it at the kitchen table, brushing away dust, translating scribbles, arguing over meanings. Some passages were clear warnings. The binding must remain intact. Others were nothing but feverish rambling. Numbers scrawled across margins, lists of names with none crossed out, diagrams of circles and symbols etched in shaky lines. But the key was always mentioned, always central, always described with reverence and fear. The key is both lock and door. To hold it is to invite its gaze. At first, the family laughed nervously, dismissing it as some relic of superstition. But strange things began to seep into their days. It started small. The youngest heard footsteps upstairs when no one was there. One of them found every window wide open in the morning, though they swore they had locked them all before bed. Shadows lengthened in rooms that should have been empty, stretching too far, clinging too long. The key itself seemed to move. They would place it on the mantel, only to find it later on the kitchen counter or by the bedside table. Once they found it resting on the pillow, as though placed beside their head while they slept. And the book was worse. More writing appeared each time they opened it, in fresh ink, darker than the faded notes. Entire passages that hadn't been there the night before. The lock waits below. You are close now. Unease thickened. Some wanted to burn both book and key, but one, the father, was determined to see it through. There must be something to this, he insisted. Some hidden room, some secret chamber in the house. This key has to fit somewhere. The others argued, but his obsession grew. He searched walls with a flashlight, tapped floors for hollow sounds, traced his hands along the basement's stone foundation. And then, one night, he found it. Behind a shelf in the cellar, hidden under rotting boards, was a door. Not a normal door. Short, narrow, iron-banded, almost swallowed by the foundation around it. No knob, no latch, only a keyhole. The father called them down, voice shaking with triumph. He held up the key, the iron thorns catching the dim light of the basement bulb. "It fits," he whispered. "It has to." They all felt it then, the air thickening, the silence pressing in, as if the house itself was holding its breath. The warnings in the book rang loud in their minds, but curiosity had already turned to obsession, and so, against every instinct, they placed the key into the waiting hole. The iron door groaned, the lock screamed like metal dragged across stone, and with one turn of the key, the house awakened. The key turned with a sickening click. The iron door shuddered, dust raining from the ceiling beams above, and the basement light flickered violently before plunging them into darkness. The family huddled close, their flashlight beams trembling across the stone walls. At first, there was only silence, thick and absolute. Then, slowly, with a groan like bone grinding on bone, the door swung inward. Beyond it stretched not a room, but a black void, deeper than the cellar should have been. The air that rushed out was freezing, wet, and smelled of old graves. And within the dark, something moved. A sound rose, soft at first, then louder. A voice. It was neither male nor female, neither young nor old, but layered. Dozens of voices whispering the same words at once. "The key returns. The lock is broken." The father stepped forward, foolishly aiming the flashlight into the void. For a heartbeat, the light seemed swallowed whole. Then it illuminated the shape. It was not a body. It was not even a ghost in human form. It was a tangle of faces, hollow, pale, fused together, mouths open in silent screams, eyes rolled back, skin split, glowing faintly as though lit from within. And the shape slithered closer, stretching upward, dragging itself into the basement with a sound like wet cloth tearing. The family screamed, stumbling back. The book snapped shut on the table above them, pages fluttering as if blown by a storm. But the storm was below. The entity surged into the cellar, its mass of faces twisting, shifting, opening into one great maw. The whispering rose to a deafening roar, so many voices overlapping that the words became unbearable static. The mother tried to slam the iron door shut, but the key would not turn back. It was fused, locked, glowing red-hot against the cold. And the door itself crumbled to rust before her eyes, melting away until there was nothing to close. The youngest collapsed, covering their ears, shrieking, "Make it stop!" But the sound burrowed deeper than ears. It throbbed inside their skulls, their teeth, their very bones. One by one, the faces in the creature turned toward the family, and the whispers sharpened into a single command. "Join us." The lights in the house died. Every door slammed shut. The walls groaned and shuddered as if the house itself was being remade around them. And in the blackness, the family's screams became part of the chorus. When neighbors spoke of the house afterward, they said the family had simply disappeared. The renovation tools were left scattered across the lawn, the lights inside forever dark. Some claimed they saw movement behind the windows at night, shapes pacing, faces pressed to the glass. Yet no one ever came to the door. The house was condemned, boarded up, sold, resold, left to rot. But still, it was not silent. Those who dared to break in reported strange things left behind. A rusted key on the floor, black with corrosion, though no one could lift it. A book lying open on the table, its pages rearranging themselves, new passages scrawled in wet ink. And in the basement, a door that should not exist, a frame of iron fused into the stone, whispering faintly, even when sealed shut. No one who stayed inside past midnight ever lasted long. Some ran screaming into the night. Others were never seen again, their cars abandoned in the driveway, their belongings left untouched. And the whispers grew louder each year, not just in the cellar now, but in the walls, in the attic, in the silence of the halls. Always the same words murmured like a prayer, like a curse. The key returns. The lock is broken. The house stands still, empty, but never abandoned. And sometimes, when you pass by in the small hours, you may see the faint glow of a lamp burning in an upstairs window. But if you look too long, the glow shifts, and you realize it's not a lamp at all. It's a face, one of many. Welcome, listeners, to the end of tonight's tale. If you enjoy these kinds of horror audio stories, leave a like, a comment, share, and subscribe. And if you made it this far, you're one of us. Subscribe so you don't miss what crawls out next. Tonight's story, The Key That Should Never Be Found, is finished. Subscribe to be the first to hear it. We upload daily. If you have a story of your own, feel free to leave it in the comments below. You never know, the next story could be yours. See you on the next video.